can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of RX Bars, Atari, P90X, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Especially check out the episode with Noah Alper. Basically tells a story of how he sold his chain of bagel stores to Einstein Bagels for $100 million. But the best parts of the story, Anthony, are not that, in my opinion. It's he shares the businesses that didn't work, so that he was, buying and selling religious tchotchkes and selling them out of the back of his car, and the business did horribly. And it was good to see his iterations of how he came to the bagel stores. Today's episode is brought to you by Rise25, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Our mission is to connect you with your best referral partners and customers. We do it in 3 ways. A done-for-you media, where we help you completely run and launch your own podcast, get it published across 11 different channels, blog posts. I personally credit podcasting as the single best thing I've done for my business and my life, allowed me to form amazing relationship. And the second is our done-for-you lead generation, where we manually send consistent flow of customized outreach messages to your ideal clients and referral sources. We also do done-for-you VIP events for software companies and conferences. We may or may not have showed up in Elvis costumes at one of them. So I am very excited for today's guest. Long awaited. Today we have Anthony Constantino, the co-founder of Sticker Mule. It's one of the most popular custom sticker websites with printing operations in the United States and Europe. Sticker Mule is the easiest and fastest way to buy custom printed products. You can order in simply 60 seconds. They turn your design or illustrations into custom stickers, magnets, buttons, labels, and packaging in a few days. Makes it look really professional. Their customers have included companies you may have heard of: Amazon, Nike, Google, Facebook, Netflix, and many more. And I'm going to have them show a few of them, but they've given me the authority to give us an amazing deal, which may or may not be available when you go to this page. So the amazing deal is 10 custom stickers for $1. That doesn't even pay for shipping, by the way, just $1. Typically, it's $20. So if you go to stickermule.com/inspired, Anthony, I've announced this, before, after I introduce the guest, and the person who's the guest is writing it down because they obviously are going to order the stickers. And I said, listen, if you go to the site and this goes viral and they can't, fulfill on all of them because it's a loss leader for them. But they know, what I tell people is, they know when you get the stickers, you're going to order more because they're amazing products. It may be stickers, it may be other things. So they hook you with that because they know you'll love it and you'll go back for more. But if you go to the site, and we will have something amazing for you if that $1 for 10 stickers is not there anymore. So, Anthony, thanks for joining me.
Awesome. Great.
So show me some of the product first. I made you and grab a few things.
Yeah, I went and grabbed some, but the only thing I had immediately available actually is you guys get the exclusive on a new product we're launching next week, which is custom coasters.
Oh, cool.
So
have you gotten a lot of demand for that? Or?
We like to do things to amuse ourselves, and I think we were out at a bar one day, and we're like, why don't we make coasters? And then the next day we bought some coaster equipment. So we've been teasing it for a while on Twitter and social media that we're doing coasters. We actually wanted to launch just before Christmas, but I put a halt to it because we wanted to get the manufacturing nailed down a bit more. But we're launching next week custom coasters, and this is the first look at them.
That's awesome.
So full color coasters, you can buy as few as 10 or as many as 10,000, whatever you need.
That's what's really interesting about your site. What I find is you don't need to put an order in for like 3,000. You can order a small quantity. What made you decide to do that? Because obviously, probably manufacturing-wise, that's a nightmare just to do a real small order.
Well, that was fun. There's more people in the world that need small quantities than need large quantities. You deal in the large quantity business, and you're dealing with big customers that tend to be a lot harder to work with. And And so, yeah, we wanted to go do a mass marketing service and have an ability to build a brand. And you can't build a brand if you're dealing with solely large customers. It's really hard.
Yeah.
People don't know you. You could be there's some enormous companies out there that go around connecting with Fortune 500 companies and getting huge contracts. But we wanted to build a brand.
Probably, I imagine even larger companies may just start with a small order to test it out also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I say, early on, I said we kind of have the Dropbox model. If you followed Dropbox early on, I've been around for a while now, but if you remember the early days of Dropbox, a lot of random consumers were just using it, and it, became viral within the organization, and, the Dropbox ended up becoming enormous, but they ended up, the individuals in the organization trying to end up pushing it throughout the organization.
Totally.
We've had that same experience with customers like Google and people like that, where you get a guy that buys 50 stickers, but will
a random person, is there an example where there was a big company, would the random person who works at the company buy the company stickers, or would they just a random side project?
A lot of times they buy for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they buy?
People might buy stickers for their kid's birthday, or when people are involved in nonprofits, or they got their kids on a little league team or something of that nature. So I don't know, they're doing some side project and they buy for that, but then they tell their coworkers. Right. Or within large organizations, there's people that need things for various reasons.
Anthony, so you started off as stickers, right? At what point did you branch into something more? And I want to hear what are some of the most popular besides the stickers. Because what I know you for is stickers. Like, you're walking around trade shows, I go to your guys' booth, and you have every possible company, that you displayed there. And I grab a bunch for my kids. But what have you branched into? What was the kind of the evolution after stickers?
We started with stickers. It's a good question. I don't even, recall the exact evolution. We started with stickers. We always wanted to do things that were a bit on the easy side. When we started with stickers, for example, I told the story to other people, but me and my co-founder were both involved in manufacturing our whole lives, and we just wanted to build a manufacturing company that connected directly with customers, because traditionally manufacturers sold through distribution partners, and we just found that frustrating. We wanted to have our factory talking directly to the customers.
Yeah. And
so we got this idea. Me and him talked, and we said, let's do it. Or he actually said, let's do it. And we ended up, he ended up putting up money, and we moved forward almost immediately the day we had a conversation together. And we ended up settling on stickers really because it was rather easy to get into. So I think when we started, we started with stickers because it wasn't the hardest thing in the world to make, although it turned out it was harder, and we realized we made a bunch of mistakes early on that we corrected. And then from there we went to buttons, because we said, well, that's not that hard either. And, we can leverage the brand and leverage the customers. So we went after that market. We wanted to do another thing relatively easy. And then from there I said, well, we've done two products that are rather easy to make, although I would say stickers aren't as easy as people realize now that we've been into it for 8 years. We've made a lot of advancements to the process.
So buttons, that's the reason I asked, because you are, dealing direct to the customer. So you probably get a lot of feedback and a lot of requests, some of which you're like, we can't do that right now. We have so many things in the pipeline, and some of which you're like, hey, well, like the coasters, we'll try this out, right?
Yeah.
So
there's not so much of a thought process behind these things. I'll say that after buttons, we went into labels, and labels was interesting because it's actually a much more complicated manufacturing. It's much harder to get into labels than it is to get into buttons or stickers. Years ago, anyone could get into stickers without a lot of capital, without a lot of experience, and buttons is even easier. I mean, you could go online and Google how to make buttons and, get started with your paycheck for the week. That was a rather easy product to do. Labels is significantly more complicated manufacturing. We wanted to try something harder, mainly because it's a bigger barrier to entry.
Right, bigger
process than an easy manufacturing process. And a lot of things, we rely on serendipity to make our decisions. I'm not a big planner. I'm not a big planner.
What's interesting also is one of my favorite stories is I don't know if it was your first customer, but one of your first customer stories where you offered them free stickers. And what happened?
Well, our first customer was actually GitHub. And we had just gotten started. Our developers that we had contracted to build the service, because we didn't know how to build websites back then, but they connected us with the founder, one of the founders at GitHub. He said, I'd love to try you guys out. And I was so excited to talk to the founder at GitHub. I said, well, I'll do an order for you for free. And he asked for a rather large order. I was like, well, I already promised a free order. I guess we have to do this. But we were just
what was his order?
It was 10,000 units, which for us at the time was a lot. And
he's like, a free order. I'll have 1 million stickers.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm just gonna take all advantage of this guy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he thought he was being unreasonable, because that's what they bought. I mean, they buy a lot of stickers, but
right.
We did 10,000 stickers for them. We shipped it to him, and he told me the stickers were terrible. And that was very helpful, because we were about to go to market with a product that didn't work. But it turned out we thought stickers were easy, but it turned out we had the wrong material, we had the wrong printing technology, we had the wrong adhesive, we had a lot of things wrong. And I think we ended up doing 4 iterations for GitHub for free, probably close to 40 or 50,000 free stickers.
Jeez.
before we got a product that he liked, and we ended up winning his account. And before we even went to market, before the website even launched, we ended up winning his account, and that helped us go to market without really embarrassing ourselves.
What was it, the improvements you had to make early on?
Yeah. I'll tell you, we were using the wrong, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we went to material companies and said, we want to make stickers, and they gave us material. We thought it made sense. We were like, we want the highest quality material you can give us. So he gave us this like extra thick material. And they were like, oh, this is the thick material. This is the expensive one. It must be good. It looked nice, but because of the thickness, it didn't actually adhere very well. So you would put it on the thing, it would fall off after a few days.
So it looked nice, but it wasn't adhering how it should.
Because of the way the material structure the sticker would fall off rather easily. We had to adjust that. We brought the wrong printer initially, and then the print, the print quality just wasn't very good. We didn't know how to match colors. That was a battle. People would ask for, their specific color. We didn't really know how to match colors. It was a long learning process.
So
those were the main ones: colors, material, wrong material selection, and print quality.
What else, Anthony, have you learned from dealing direct with the customer? What else? That early on, obviously, that helped from the initial iteration of the sticker. What other, I guess, feedback have you gotten that you've taken in from customers that have helped the process?
Well, the number one thing I learned is business is a lot more fun when you're dealing directly with customers. But in terms of feedback, there's no one amazing story other than that one. What you do get in dealing with customers is lots of little bits of feedback here and there. And our attitude has been to look at whatever people are saying and address it. Yeah. So we look at every inquiry as a failure. I think Amazon had the same attitude, but most people say, well, customer service is like so important, and you got to provide great customer service. And our vision for great customer service was really to get, it's not possible, but it is to get to know service, because people don't want to talk to their vendors.
You want to anticipate their needs so they never have to ask, essentially.
Yeah, you don't want to waste time in your day writing us an email. I mean, people think that customers want to talk to you, but it's not true. Like, you don't want to talk to me or our customer service people. You just want your product.
Right.
So we look at every inquiry as a failure on our part, and we say, well, what exactly was it that made this person feel the need to talk to us?
You're very process oriented.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's something simple that you've taken? Okay, like most people, they just answer it, and you think a little bit differently. So you get that, and you're like, what can we put on our website or in our process that would cause this person not to need to email us, right?
Yeah.
So what would be an example of that?
That's a great question. It's a difficult question for me, because I for the first 3 years I did customer service. For the first 2 years I did probably 80% of the customer service, and then I gradually scaled back. I haven't done customer service for a few years.
I mean, could it be maybe it was simple as, I don't know, you put like an FAQs page up. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, our FAQs are probably the best that I think we have the best FAQ section anyone's ever seen. We try to generally create an FAQ for every inquiry, which for every reasonable inquiry. But yeah, our FAQs is probably the best that anyone's ever had. When we start, this is an interesting point. When we started early on, and you see a lot of companies do this still, they make assumptions about what people want to read in the FAQs. So they just write a bunch of FAQs, and they're like, this is what I think people are going to ask me. But it's not necessarily true that your assumptions about what people want to know in an FAQ section are what they really want to know. So we ended up deleting a lot of our initial FAQs and building FAQs based on things people are actually asking. I was like, I'm not going to just put, people put silly FAQ like, why are you guys in business? And they write like their company history.
No one cares. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was something that someone asked that surprised you? Anything? They like FAQ wise, you had to add in there.
One, the funniest one, early on. I mean, like I said, it's been a while since I've done customer service. I mean, when I was doing customer service, we had phone support early on, and I had somebody call from prison asking to place an order for stickers. That surprised me.
You have to hand deliver them through like glass.
I was like, man, I was like, that's nice. You guys.
So he uses one phone call for you?
He uses. I don't use his phone privileges.
What were the stickers? Do you remember?
I don't even remember, but I was like, this is crazy.
Wow, that's really interesting. Because I was reading this, Anthony, about you. You have a certain obsession with simplicity. And that simplicity, I think, translates into as frictionless as possible customer experience, right? So what have you guys done? Because I mentioned, easiest, fastest way to buy custom printed products. What have you done in the customer experience to take away the friction?
We remove everything on our website that doesn't add value, which I think you see a lot of people moving in that direction. But 8 years ago, or certainly longer on the internet, 15 years ago, people, they wanted to get their message out there. And a lot of businesses to this day are concerned with like pushing information onto you. And they're like, I got to get this on the website so people know because it's important. And a lot of stuff's just not important to people. So if you look at our website, you're really kind of hard pressed to find anything on there that's not useful. And for people on the internet, we had battles with SEO advisors that are like, you got to get stuff on the website for SEO. You got to do this. You got to do that. Or just, I said early on, there's the temptation to want to say things.
You like stuff keywords or do certain things.
All that stuff. Yeah, that's kind of died. It still exists in e-commerce. Like if you look at the software as a service space, I think people learn to be real, do really clean websites. But yeah, we don't, I don't think you can find anything on our website that doesn't add value. Like there's nothing there, just there just to be there. Like one thing that even bothers me a little bit is, I believe we have social icons in the footer, and I question if those should even be there, because is that really adding value to people that I don't know. To me, we debate stuff like that.
You pay attention to detail. I mean, because there's a post of even your customer service responses, and you just, one of the rules you have on there is use as few words as you need to convey the message.
Yeah, you don't want to waste people's time. So yeah, if you look at our website, I like to use as few words as possible. When I talk, I'm not so great at that, but when I write, I like to use as few words as possible. And you can
go back and edit it, right? So
yeah, you got time. We train our agents to use as few words as possible.
How is Anthony? How is simplicity in the business? I totally get. How does that trickle into your personal life? What have you simplified, or what are some of your philosophies personally?
This does not trickle into my personal life at all. It does not. No, I have like an obsession.
Like I picture you sitting, you have like just a couch, and that's it, because that's all you need is a couch, and just.
Oh no, I get laughed at. And
you're not
everyone. I'm very disorganized. People laugh at me for my level of disorganization. But at work, I don't know. At work, I'm hyper organized. I'm an obsessive organizer at work. But outside of work, I don't know. I think I have a hard time. Like I think to be successful in business, you have to be good at prioritizing, and I tend to deprioritize those things.
You're just too focused on prioritizing the business. You go home and it's just like,
or whatever I need to get done. It's like, organizing the cupboard, or organizing my wardrobe does like not strike me as like an incredibly important thing.
Got it. Now your co-founder has been a big influence. How did you guys meet?
He was a friend of my dad's, and my dad passed away when I was 8 years old. And I think for that reason, he ended up kind of just looking over me and my brother. He was also my brother's godfather. So we were just always sort of friends early on in my life. I wasn't the best student, and I was not a good student. I got C's in high school. And
what were you interested in high school? Like, what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up in high school?
In high school, I got highly focused into wrestling, and I debated going in the direction of that versus
Like collegiate.
Yeah, and I got into college for wrestling. I got into RPI, which is which was where I ended up going. And my friend said to me, you got to decide, do you want to be, I don't know how he put it, but he said basically, do you want to be responsible or do you want to go out and have fun? Because there's no future in a wrestling career. Now there's UFC and MMA, but that's not even that great of a future. I mean, it's interesting. Actually, it seems to like a super interesting future, but
You get your head pounded in, though. I mean,
life and those guys don't make what NFL and NBA players make. But years ago there was no future. There was no future in that.
yeah. So you decided to go again. Like that seems like an obvious choice now, but when you're that age, that's not such an obvious choice. Of you can go have fun or be serious, right?
Yeah.
You chose the serious route.
It helped a little bit because my girlfriend lived near RPI, so that helped a little bit.
It's always because of a woman. I got it. So your co-founder, he kind of helped guide you and kind of, gave you some advice. When you left college, were you connected with him the whole time, and did you work with him?
I mean, we always stayed friends. Like I was going to say funny stories. Like I learned in high school I was not a good student, and he would help tutor me, and I didn't tell anyone I had a tutor, and so I would, mess around in school and really just seemed like I was focused on sports. I was asleep in class. I didn't have a notebook. I didn't have any books. I didn't have a lock on my locker. I just was very unprepared, but I did manage to get A's in math because, he would tutor me once a week, and it's kind of fun. I got to go into school, and everyone thought I was this like bizarre genius because I seemed like I didn't care at all, and then I would go in and get an A in the class, and I didn't even pay attention. I was like, secretly, I had a tutor. So, he helped me out through that. He continued to help me. I think I started working with him as a tutor just because it was a way for us to maintain the friendship. So I would contact him a lot in college and ask him, hey, can you help me with this or help me with that? So we stayed together with that. And then, after that, I got right into manufacturing, working for a local company. And was he in manufacturing all at the time? He was retired. He retired before, I believe, just at the beginning of my college career, he retired. Just as I entered college, he retired. He retired around age 60. He had a really good career. But he was in manufacturing for 40 years. He loved manufacturing. So I think maybe for that reason pushed me in the direction of wanting to get excited or interested in manufacturing. I went directly into that, and we kept in touch with that. I always ran things by him, situations I had to deal with, and asked him how to. So you brought him back out of retirement? Well, to start Sticker Mule, he actually, we had a conversation just before Christmas time. And and what happened was he managed to retire without ever using a computer, and he had gotten to that point in his life without using a computer. And he had just gotten one just before Christmas 2009, and he wanted some help on it. And I started BSing about the idea of an internet-based manufacturing company where you wouldn't have to deal with distributors, you could work directly with the customers. And he kind of just looked at me and said, I don't know, okay, that's interesting, and went home. But then he came and saw me the next day and said he thought about it and we should start a company together. But he wanted my commitment, right then. Really? So What are you thinking? That's a big commitment. I said, I'll think about it, and maybe a year from now, that sounds like a good idea. And I'll get back. And I said, yeah, so let me see how this year goes, and I'll get back to you. And he said, no, you're 7 years too late. You got to do it now. This is the guy. I was like, that's funny. He never saw the internet before. So we were able to also. I ended up saying, sure, like, let's do it. And we were able to grab my brother, who was, my brother at the time was focused on a career, and he wanted to move in the direction of being a professor of Chinese history, which is a totally different direction than me in life. But, he didn't have any commitment, so he was able to join us and help get the company off the ground as well. So it was, the three of us and another friend of mine. We had that conversation just before Christmas, and we launched, I think, in March or April. And he didn't really come. I wouldn't say he came out of retirement. I'd say he drove us to get the company off the ground and get it started. And me and him have stayed friends, but he never came into work. Although for the first 6 months he did phone support for us, which was better. Why do you think he had that urgency to make a decision, or let's just not do it? That's his personality. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's his personality, and I've adopted the same personality for better or worse. It's, in business, you have to have a sense of urgency. Yeah, you just have to be that way. You just have to be that way. I think if you want to be successful in business, you just naturally develop that, because you say to yourself, like, well, what's the most important thing I could work on right now? And you just do whatever that seems to be. And I think if you're 68 years old and retired and you got a friend of yours that's in his 20s,
it's like you don't get a year to just think it over. You get right now. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's like, this. What else do I got to do right now? I mean, he's like, I'm 68. What else do I got to do? Like, let's get this started. You know?
Yeah,
and that's just the way he was.
You talk about this actually, asking yourself some questions periodically to improve your ability to prioritize. I think all of us need, myself included. You know, I forgot someone was telling me about, like, only in the U.S. we talk about priorities, like plural. It really should be priority, one priority, right? So you ask some questions to help improve the ability to prioritize, which I really like. So I don't know if you have some examples, but walk people through the framework a little bit. The first question you ask is, what's the most impactful thing you can work on? So has there been an example you kind of stopped dead in your tracks and just reversed what you were doing maybe recently because of that question? You're like, you're working on, I don't know, coasters. You're like, is this really the most impactful thing? And then you switch to something else to give people kind of an idea.
Sure. I mean, there's some things I can't discuss because they're things we're planning in the future.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to tip our hand, but a good example is, we live in a small town, and there's not a large population. There's a dwindling population, and you could make the case that it's hard to hire here. And as we were growing, people were making that case that it's hard to hire here, and they were coming to me and complaining about it and saying, we just can't find people. And I said to myself, well, obviously this is important, but I said to them, well, it makes sense we can't find people. And they said, why is that? I said, well, we market ourselves nationally, internationally, but we don't market ourselves locally. There's no business in our local community. So our local town didn't even know Sticker Mule exists. So I was like, well, why would people think to come work here if they don't even know we exist? So after, having that conversation with people, I just went full force into getting our brand known in the community.
Locally.
And locally, for the purpose of hiring. And we went from not known at all to everyone knowing that there's this company, Sticker Mule, here that's, pretty amazing.
It's a cool, hip company, too. It's not like you guys sell, like, glue sticks or something. Like, you can apply to any company. What were some of the things you did to get out to the local market?
We did all sorts of. The funnest one we just did is we took a friend. It's better to see the commercial than for me to explain it. But we did a really cool commercial, and we contacted the local theaters, and we're actually running a we're hiring commercial before every movie that's playing. So I'm like, that's cool. We put up billboards in interesting places, which turned out wasn't that expensive to do because not that many people here want billboards. So once it's not that expensive to get, and two, once you get it, if you don't renew it and no one else jumps on top of you, you get to keep it for as long as you want.
It is a perceived huge value, though, if you see the company on the billboard.
And then, we did, the funnest one we did was, we did Burger Day. We made burgers for the whole city. That was a blast. We recently did Soup Day. We did a soup festival, and
oh wow,
that we had 500 people come this weekend and eat soup, and we had a band and the mascot. We had our mascot running around. We have a mascot now that runs around town and goes to sporting events and stuff like that.
Really?
So we're just, I think like anything, like once you, let's say the goal is improve hiring. So you say, well, my goal is improve hiring. Then you list out, well, what are all the things I can do to get the word out? And you just keep throwing ideas down and iterating through them as quickly as you can. So we go after whatever we can go after: billboards, soup festival, Burger Day. Getting an ad running before a movie is not that hard to do.
How did you come up with the name Sticker Mule?
The name Sticker Mule, yeah. Mainly, I would say a lot of it came from my friend, my co-founder, that just pushed us to move quickly. Like, we said, let's do an internet company. We didn't have a product yet when I said let's do an internet manufacturing company, and we just moved so fast we didn't have a choice. In fact, I think a few weeks later, we went and we met our first developers, and we contacted them. We said, look, we want to get going, and we want to do an internet company, and we want your guys' help to get it started. And they said, well, what do you guys want to make? We said, well, it's going to be some manufactured product, but we're not sure yet.
You didn't know at the time?
No, we didn't know. And they said, "What's your budget?" And my friend, was an older guy. He said, we've never done anything on the internet before, and we don't know what the budget should be. Could you educate us on what we should expect? And the guy goes, "Look, I don't mean to be rude, but you don't know what you want to make. You don't know what to do. You've never done anything on the internet before. Like, I don't think I can work with you." So,
that's a fair point, right?
Yeah, it was a fair point. So we threw out a number, and he said, "All right, I can see you next week." So, yeah, we gave him our number. He said, "I'll see you next week." We went and saw him. And he said, "I actually really like you guys." He said, "But you really got to decide what you want to do." He said, "I could get started on this probably in 2 weeks, but you guys got to decide what you want to do." And so we had a few ideas in mind, and we said, "Look, let's do stickers. It's reasonably easy, reasonably easy to do." And I had the idea of doing, we had the sticker plus or product plus animal because it sounded funny. So we were like, well, what does sticker pair well with? It's not like sticker badger. Sticker badger
I went to Wisconsin, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Sticker Mule just sounded good. So, so that's how we ended up being Sticker Mule. And then we ended up, I said, all right, we're going to do Sticker Mule. And I knew a kid in the area, my age, and I didn't know, I wasn't a web designer, and I needed help designing it. So I went to him and I said, "Hey, I know you got some, you had a job." I said, "I know you got a job." I said, "But if you want to work nights and weekends, I can't pay you much, but we're looking to get a internet company off the ground. We were wondering if you'd like to help us design the website." And he goes, "Oh, I never designed a website before, but I always wanted to do it." So I said, "All right, well, give it a shot." So this kid at the time, he ended up designing the website in a week. We handed it off to the developers. They're like, "This is awesome." And what he designed is very close to what you see today.
Really?
And he went on to become our lead designer, and now he's our VP of marketing.
That's amazing. What were the other considerations, Anthony, at the time? You chose stickers. What else were you brainstorming? Do you remember some of the other things?
We thought about, I think we thought about stickers, buttons. I don't recall.
So it was smaller.
We thought about packaging. But that looked too complicated. We thought about that as well.
Yeah. It just seems random. You're like, stickers.
Yeah. I don't know.
What you
don't
guys
overthink things. Just move.
Right.
Just move. Don't
Yeah,
overthink.
totally. I love it. You guys obviously have manufacturing. You have, there's this whole technology behind it. What's been the hardest position to hire for?
The head of technology was the hardest, but that's a cool story. We started with an agency. I mean, actually, I can't get into the whole story, but we started with an agency, and they had somebody. We were able to steal the guy basically from them while remaining friends. And he was our original developer, and he was our only developer for 3 or 4 years, and he was really reluctant to take over management.
Why?
He just didn't think it was his personality. I don't know. He just didn't,
his skill set. He saw himself as a developer, not as like a manager.
Yeah, but that was the hardest thing. But we have a rather we have a rather large dev team now, and he's scaled up, and he's an outstanding manager. I think the team loves him, and he's done an amazing job at managing the team. But getting him on board initially and getting him interested in wanting to run the team.
It's totally different skill set, right? I mean, writing code and they're like, hey, you're going to have to actually talk to people, right? I mean, you stereotypically think of the developer as they're, they're crunching, writing code. They're not necessarily stereotypically the outgoing people person,
Yeah, and we had that concern. I said, well, to be honest with you, I'm not an outgoing people person. I told him, I'm not an outgoing people person. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to be an outgoing people person. People want a boss that is intelligent and, respectful.
Yeah, totally. What do you see as you probably, and I don't know if you coached him to improve as a manager or he just kind of, as he's taking on a position, he's learning as he goes. What do you see as like a really key skill set for someone to promote them or to have them manage people?
Maybe it's not a politically correct answer, but I would say the number one skill set is like willingness to terminate, because anyone can hire, but terminating people is much harder to do. And I think that's the hardest thing you do in business as a manager, is terminate people. It's incredibly unpleasant, and that really is like what to me makes the difference between average or great manager. If you struggle with that, you just can't go that far. And yeah.
How do you decide? I mean, again, it's a tough decision. You're probably weighing, okay, even let's say you like the person, right? What are some ways that and then also you are thinking, well, should I give them a different position instead of firing them, or should I coach them up? At what point do you decide, okay, we've exhausted all options?
Yeah, certainly you should look for opportunities to place people in the right position for them. Like, you shouldn't leave them in a place. So, we always look for that opportunity. My general attitude, well, first of all, I tell people it's like, one, when we're bringing new people on, you want to make a decision about whether they're going to stay or whether they're going to go within 3 months. Because you don't want somebody like lingering around. They're here for a year or two, and then they get terminated, because then every other person that's here for a year or two says to themselves, well, could I go too? So our rule, first of all, is like, we got to make a decision quickly. I don't want people like lingering around. We got to make that decision within 3 months, because that just gives the long-term employees a comfort level that, like, this isn't the way that, you're not constantly at risk. Right. It's like, the other thing that we did recently that really helped is we've gotten a lot more aggressive early on during the screening process. So we put we make people go through 4 interviews now before they get a job, which at first I thought, well, that's not really nice to people, because it's just, they have to go through hell to get the job. Maybe they're going to run away, but it allows us to have a lot more certainty that the job's going to work out, which is good for us and good for them. The third thing I'll say is I believe in treating people extraordinarily well, and, as good as you possibly can. And early on in my career, I got accused of, being overly kind to people, and people, my friends and people that know me for, you get people an opportunity to take advantage of you. And I'm like, my attitude is I'm going to be as nice as I can to you. And if somebody doesn't reciprocate back, that's a sign that they're not a right fit. Because if the organization is going over and above to treat you well, and, you're doing things that are maybe not the best things. Why were they accusing you of that? What did you do that was overly over the top kind? I can't, some of these stories I'd rather not get into, but I've given people overly generous upfront bonuses and things like that. I do everything I can to help people.
Yeah, totally.
But most people don't go that route. I would say, you got 3 out of 100 people that would go the route of like being like, oh, thank you for that. Now I'm gonna some people think if you're a nice boss that you're weak, and they're like, oh, he's nice, he's stupid. I don't know, like, he's so nice, I could pull a fast one on him, and I don't know, but that's not the majority of people. The majority of people are like, oh, this is like a really nice person, or but I encourage all of our managers to be that, very caring and concerned. I don't like to talk about stories. I mean, maybe I don't like to talk about stories.
Well, you have an interesting take on bonuses, kind of on that route. Right?
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on bonuses?
We don't do end of the year bonuses. We pay upfront really well. Like, your salary's really well. We don't do end of the year bonuses, mainly because for me, I found it to be anxiety building for both sides. It's anxiety building for me because, for management, because we're like, well, what's the right number?
Yeah.
Maybe I picked a number too low.
You don't want to offend someone. There's like a lot of,
like crap, and then it's anxiety building for them because they got a budget around a bonus that they don't know what it's going to come in at. You could have a formula to do it, and I don't like formulas, because then people are orienting their decisions around how to game a formula. So I was like, why don't we just pay people really well? And then you have certainty about what your compensation is. If you don't like it, you can make your own decisions, but we pay people well above market rates. There's no bonuses, and that works really well for us.
Talk about the decision to expand internationally.
Yeah, it's like a lot.
Most people, it's like hard enough to have the one manufacturing U.S. and you decide to go international.
Well, I said early on, we like to do things to amuse ourselves, and we rely on serendipity a lot. And I think whatever it was a few years ago, I was online. I went on a sticker website at the time. It was called Unix Stickers, and they sold programming themed stickers. And I was on there, I think, fairly late at night, and the live chat popped up and said, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Hi, I'm Anthony from Sticker Mule." And the guy said, "Sticker Mule, I love Sticker Mule." I said, "Great." So I got a question for you. Why don't you sell to Europe? So why do you care? He said, "Well, I'm in Europe." I was like, Oh, all right. I said, well, I said, where are you? He said, I'm in Italy. I said, geez, I thought you were an American company. He goes, no, all my customers are in America, but I'm in Europe.
Hmm.
And I said, okay. And I said, well, I don't know. It seems like a hassle. He said, well, you'd have a great opportunity over here because there's no competition. There's not much, at least. And so I said, all right. And, we kind of became friends. We started talking through Skype. And one day I went to Italy and I just found a message. Hey, I'm going to be in Italy. You want to hang out? And I ended up hanging out with him and my team came with me. We all ended up hanging out for a few days and we had an awesome time and we became even better friends. And from there we started working on, he helped us develop along with his partner, they helped us develop marketing strategy to bring Sticker Mule to Europe. And that started going along pretty well. And then from there, I just said, look, why don't you guys join us? And at that point, they were really happy with us. They ended up joining us. We absorbed them in, and we ended up that's how we got started.
There's a video, there's a post on your site about kind of the team at Sticker Mule. And you guys are all over the world, right? Yeah. So how do you work as far as maintaining, the teamwork or culture virtually? What works and what have you found doesn't work?
I think the culture comes down a lot to who are the people you're hiring. So we developed cultural values and we actually screen people based on our cultural values. So like I said, we have a 4-person interview process and people have to give people a rating on a scale of 1 to 5 for how they fit based on the conversation with our cultural values. That's one of the things we look at early on. And I think our most important value is humility. We don't really do well. I don't think anyone here really deals well with arrogant people. So we naturally screen out that. So we naturally have a very humble, modest culture. Nobody's in it for themselves. That's why I really haven't done that much speaking. But yeah, nobody's really in it for themselves.
What else?
I think that's the root of our culture because I don't know, it's for whatever reason, when we all get together, even if we don't know each other very well, it's just a lot of very intelligent, modest people. And they just like each other.
Yeah. When you get a bunch of giving, modest people together, things just click.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So humility is one. What's another cultural value?
We like people. What did I say? Humility. Humility is the biggest one that stands out. The other ones we look for people that have good logic, good reasoning. We look for people that are, it's hard to evaluate people on that, but we say we want people to be humble, independent, because that's another thing that happens here. Most people are self-managed. People self-manage via metrics. So everyone that works here has metrics. You need to be able to set your own priorities. So yeah, we look for people that are humble, independent, have good reasoning, thoughtful towards others, and we say autodidactic or ability to self-teach. For example, yeah, a lot of our people here have had very humble beginnings to get to where they got. I don't think we've hired anyone with a fancy degree.
So what would you say, I know a big influence for you too, Anthony, early on, I don't know, is your high school wrestling coach, right? Uh-huh. What did he teach you?
Wrestling taught me that,
that gives you some humility,
Yeah. Well, he told me, he said, look, I was a terrible wrestler, first of all, until I met him. I was probably the worst there was. In fact, I lost every match in under a minute. I lost my first 30 matches in under a minute, which is, I think, a record for badness.
Wow.
I was terrible. I have the, not that it's much, but I have the best record in my high school from my final year. So I made a big improvement. But the reason it happened was he said, I want you to decide where you're going to end your career at. And for whatever reason, I said, I don't know. I was so bad that I said I was going to end my career at second in the region. I don't know why I picked second in the region, but that's what I said I was going to do. I wrote it down. But I ended up ending my career second in the region, which was the best finish for anyone in my high school. And I ended up doing it. I realized after that, I was like, you're never going to do better than what you expect to do. If you go into a wrestling match and expect to lose, your chances of surprising yourself with a win are slim to none. If you think you're going to be at best second in the region, your chances of
that's
becoming,
what you're going to get.
A national champion, you're not going to do that. Yeah, that or less. That's all you can do, that or less. And so I learned that, you got to set ambitious goals and, you can surprise yourself and actually accomplish them. That's what I learned. And then as far as business in general goes, what I saw in wrestling was, I wanted to be second in my region, but there was a lot of kids that just wanted to be the toughest kid in their school. They're like, they were so happy with that. And then there were some kids that wanted to be the best in the region, and there were some kids that wanted to be the best in the state, and there were some kids that wanted to be the best in the nation. And then there were some kids that were like, I'm going to go to college and be the best in collegiate wrestling. And then some people had dreams of going and winning Olympic gold one day, all the way in high school. And I just, you're going to end up where you want to think, and you got to set your target for where you want to be. And so in business early on, I set pretty high targets. I've always said, we always have measured ourselves in business against, I try not to drive us too crazy, but we measure ourselves against companies that are pretty good. I think, Amazon's clearly the best in e-commerce business. So I could run around and say, oh, I'm a good company, I'm this, I'm that. And a lot of people do that. But compared to Amazon, I'm a terrible company.
It's all relative. Yeah.
Yeah. Who you compare yourself to, they're the best in the business. It's who you compare yourself to. Because if your goal is second in a region and like I said, my coach said he said, when I got to the finals of the regionals, he's like, I knew you weren't going to win because he's like, I saw how happy you were just to be there. And a lot of people in business,
you were content already.
Yeah. A lot of people in business, they get to a point where they're just so happy because of what they did. They got X number of people working for them or whatever they accomplished. They've hit a level that they're happy. And you can drive yourself crazy if you set your goals too high. Another person said you got to say, well, what's good enough? Because you can drive yourself crazy. Because is it really worth it? But yeah.
So Anthony, what kept you going? So 30 matches, a record of losing in instantaneously under a minute.
Yeah.
Why did you continue? At that point, did you love it, or what was it about it?
Oh, I just didn't want to be a quitter. I saw a lot of people quitting wrestling. We had a tough coach. I had two different coaches. One was less easy to work with than the other, and a lot of people quit. We had to run 5 miles a day. It's not an easy sport. It's not a fun
totally.
sport.
I remember playing basketball, and then the wrestling practices looked grueling. I was thinking, thank God I'm not in wrestling right now.
Yeah, it's not a fun sport.
Why'd you continue?
I didn't want to quit.
So you knew you were going to stick it out till all 4 years.
I don't know what I thought. I just didn't want. I saw a lot of people quit, and I just didn't want to be one of those people that quit. I don't know. I eventually started developing friends and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't know why I stuck with it. I was not good until my last year.
What caused you to improve? Was it extra time? Was it mindset?
It was just a change in mindset because, I started, interacting with high school wrestlers again. At the high school level, you really just don't understand. I didn't understand the extent to which mindset is a difference. No one's that good at high school wrestling. It's the mind, because you're losing 7-4. As you start getting better, okay, you lose 7-4. That's your attitude can make or break that 3 points easily. But when you're a kid, you don't know that. When I first started wrestling, I was terrible, and there was the best kid on the team. He was a big guy. He was heavyweight and tough guy, and everyone thought he was a tough guy and football player too. And he said he's told me, he said, look, this sport's 90% mental, 10% physical. And I'm like, yeah, you're just saying that because you got the muscles. You're just trying to make me feel good. But it actually turned out it is true. I just decided. I remember I just decided I didn't want to lose anymore, and I just didn't lose anymore.
Amen. You go back in the final. You go back and speak to the students. You've gone back and spoke. Yeah. What did you tell them?
I think I talked to them about this. You got to set your. I told them that. I'm not trying to remember what. But basically, I told them that they could relate. Some of the things they're doing in school now, they don't understand how it relates later in life. And I was a bad student, but I learned a lot of things in high school that had nothing to do with classwork. You can apply this idea of who you measure yourself against with anything. I said you could apply it with video games. There's kids that are outstanding at video games, and if you can learn how to become an outstanding video gamer, you could learn how to become an outstanding anything. It's just, but you have to learn the process of setting your sights high and doing it. So it doesn't need to be academics that you're learning in school. It could be anything. Yeah. It was wrestling, could be track and field, could be chess, could be golf, could be whatever you're into.
What do you do now to keep the mindset strong for business and the goals strong? Do you talk to certain mentors? Do you listen to certain books? What kind of things do you do to keep sharp mentally?
I can't say I do that much.
Like, what motivates you? You know, if you see Amazon topping, best companies, does that motivate you to say, like, how can we get to that point? Or
I'm motivated a lot by my coworkers. We have awesome people. We have a lot of fun together, and we've been able to bring in a lot of people. We built a team up over the years. I've got my core people I started with, but they love all the new people that have joined. Everyone is really excited. I think it's been really fun over the years to bring in new people and make new friends and stuff like that. And my core group that I hang out with, they want to see the company keep growing. I think they probably motivate me more than anything, because if they weren't excited, I don't think I would be excited.
Yeah. From the early customer with GitHub, what's been another favorite fun story of how you got a customer? Because you have premium big name customers. I'm sure you have a lot of small mom and pop customers, and it ranges, but we're talking Amazon, Nike, Google. Is there a favorite story that sticks out of how some randomness of how you acquired and got one of these orders from one of these companies?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
I mean, after GitHub, we haven't done acquisition of individual customers. It's just I focused on experience. I focused on experience and marketing after that. I didn't focus on going after customers. We've had plenty of fun stories, with us, traveling and being crazy and whatnot. We have a lot of fun together. But yeah, no, we haven't had any interesting, acquisition stories since then, mainly because it's just we haven't focused on acquiring individual customers.
Any interesting stories of actual goods, like you mentioned the guy in prison? Any interesting companies order packaging or buttons or labels that you're like, why are they ordering this stuff? Like random company.
The ones that come to mind, I probably shouldn't say because they're not appropriate.
Okay, I figured that's why I asked.
No.
Not appropriate.
Something like I look at them, I'm like, what? Okay. What is this? I couldn't figure out what it is. And it's like Google. It was early on. It's like a swingers club. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that is.
Maybe it's better.
There wasn't anything inappropriate.
Yeah, I gotcha. So Anthony, first of all, thank you. I always ask this because it's Inspired Insider. I always ask, one, what's been a low moment that you pushed through? And then on the flip side, what's been a proud moment that you are especially, from the journey you're proud of? What's been a low moment that you had to push through?
I'll say, probably the worst moment. There was a point, I say you kind of go in waves in business where your job should be easy, because if it's hard, you're probably not going to be able to succeed for very long. So, yeah, but every now and then, it's going to get hard because you're taking on new challenges and you should be able to adjust. But there was a point when we were growing quickly, and, I had never built up an executive team before. And, I just didn't really know how to go about doing that. And I was like, all right, well, now we're getting to a point where I need somebody in charge of manufacturing. I ran manufacturing, I ran customer service, and I ran a lot of stuff. I was like, all right, we need somebody in charge of manufacturing, finance, marketing, and I built out a whole executive team. And it was very stressful. I just didn't feel like it was going really well. And I started talking with some of the people here that I had known for a while about the people that we had put into place. And they didn't really know either, I don't think, what to do, because, none of us had ever built an organization before. And they were like, yeah, I see your concerns, but, we need people to do these jobs. And I don't know, one day I just said, no, this isn't right. And I terminated half the executive team. In a week, and people were freaked out.
It didn't feel right to you. Something didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right, and people. I don't think I had anyone that really backed me on that decision. But a month later, everyone thought it was great. I was able to take actually some people that we had brought in. I had brought in people, and I was able to give their jobs to people that have been here since day one. So if you look at our executive team now, it's all people that have been here since day one that have scaled, and they're amazing. Like our VP of HR has been with us since day one. Our VP of Finance has been with us since day one. Our head of software has been with us since day one.
They grew internally.
I'm currently overseeing manufacturing. I've obviously been here since the beginning. we have a plant manager that's been with us since very early. She's started actually in another part of the company, and she's now our plant manager. She does an outstanding job. And yeah, that was a hard decision to make, because I pulled people in, and I said, like, pull people in. I used money to entice them to join us, and I just said the people I picked weren't the right ones, and
Yeah.
That was the most stressful.
It's tough. It goes back to what you're saying with kind of being a manager. It's like really difficult to terminate someone. You know what I mean? If it's not working
I think
out.
it's worth telling that story, because a lot of people, I think, if they're in growing companies, or even whatever, smaller companies, they feel this pressure to bring in experienced management. And that's not always the right move, because I don't think any of these jobs are all that hard. Like, most jobs aren't that hard. You just have to, I don't know, use common sense. But, these jobs aren't that hard. You just have to have a desire to do them, use common sense, and have a good attitude, and willingness to learn.
What about on the flip side, proud moment? I mean, you've been doing this for many years now, and you started it with nothing, on a whim, an idea. What's been a proud moment? I think, besides the billboard.
And there's flip coin, on the flip side, making hiring mistakes sucks, and fixing, that was very stressful, especially when I made like executive level hiring mistakes. But, problem was, like, I've had to do a lot of recruiting too. Like, early on, like, every CEO of a growing company, you got to get talent. And it's been really rewarding for me to be able to go and connect with people and to convince them to join us. Like, I had to convince a lot of people to join us that had good jobs. So I think, even calling the shots, I got our original developer. I got him to, he wanted to leave his job, but, I got that situation sorted out.
Yeah.
And we've been able to bring in a lot of great talent. It's always fun. I have, amazing friendships because of that. Like, I have friends in Italy now because of, a live chat conversation. I have a ton of friends in Italy now because
random. Yeah, I love it.
So that sort of stuff.
It's basically putting that rockstar team together makes you proud. Sounds like.
I mean, the fact that I get to hang out with these people all the time. The fact that I was able to convince them to join, and that they come in and say that they, a lot of them say it's the best decision they ever made. So, I mean, I think that's, somebody says that.
Totally. Well, Anthony, thank you. I want to be the first one to thank you. This is fantastic. I love hearing your stories. I love that. I mean, I don't love that you lost 30 matches in a row, but I love the story. You know what I mean? And the persistence behind it. And so everyone should check out Sticker Mule. More importantly, check out stickermule.com/inspired. And if it's still available, you get 10 custom stickers for $1. I mean, I don't even know what you can get for $1 these days anyway. So 10 custom stickers, you can't beat that.
You can't even get a soda for $1 anymore.
Exactly. So, and it's your own company logo that will look nice on a computer or wall or wherever you want to put it. So, Anthony, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. And thanks, Kieran, for putting it together.
Thanks. A lot of fun.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.